Okay guys, hi, my name's Dan. I'm from an organisation called Feedback, which was explained. We just avoid confusion until very recently were called Feed the 5,000. I'll come on to talk in a minute or two about our organisation and what we do, but first I want to talk about kind of why we exist, which is we exist to tackle food waste at every level. So the way to start is to explain to you kind of where food waste exists, and then talk about why it exists, and then talk about what we as consumers can do about it. So the first time I saw this image, I was actually kind of thinking, wow, it's quite beautiful, you know, it's nice red and green, good colour contrast, all that kind of stuff. And then you think, hold on a minute, that's food, you know, that's kind of our food. That's one tomato farm in Tenerife, and that's just wasted. You know, that food is just in for various reasons which I can talk about. Believe me, I could sit here all night for 6 hours and show you more slides like that of bananas, of potatoes, of parsnips, of apples, again and again and again. That's one image that's kind of eye-catching. There are more eye-catching ones than that. So that's the food that gets wasted on farms. We also waste food in factories. This actually is, surprisingly, you kind of have this idea that Marks and Spencer is an ethical company. I'm sure they are, you know, and these things are all relative. But this is a factory that supplies Marks and Spencer with their bread. And Marks and Spencer have a policy that the crusts get cut off each loaf as in the first slice of my bread after the crust. So that makes 13,000 slices of bread a day just from one factory. I don't know about you, I've never been to a sandwich shop anywhere that serves sandwiches made out of crusts. So nobody uses them. I do at home, I'm sure you will do at home, but in a kind of global scale of food, the factories waste food. Again, just one example of many, many, many. This is a shop, this is a small shop in Sussex. So if that's what a small village shop in Sussex throws away at the end of one day's trade on a Saturday, imagine what the supermarkets are doing. You know, and again, we've got a library of photographs, but I just thought it was more interesting to show the waste at a kind of small scale. And again, you can scale up to imagine bins and bins and bins. Anytime you walk past a supermarket, go around the back, they've probably got about 8 skips, and each of them will be full of this kind of stuff. So we waste food at shop level as well. Restaurants, this is a restaurant in Leeds, it's around the back end, as far as I'm aware, it's kind of a couple of days trade, Thai restaurant in Leeds, and all those bin bags are full. So you know, every time you leave food on your plate, you feel too guilty, but that's kind of where it ends up. So you know, this is really systemic across our society. We'll talk about the reasons, what we can do. Finally at home, this is actually an American image. It's an American family whose the photograph has actually, of course, been set up. It's there to demonstrate on an aggregate level what the average American family wastes in terms of food. It's quite a powerful visual image. You could spend ages looking at that, but it's crazy. And that's just the average family. There'll be somebody found more than that. So that's about where food exists in our life. If you want to kind of put a scale on it, we estimate that roughly a third of the world's food supply, from what we call from farm to fork, is wasted. Put into context, that's enough to feed 3 billion people. So when you hear all these stories, people say, you know, we've got a growing population, yes we have, we need to produce more food. No we don't. No we don't need to produce more food. We need to stop wasting it. We just stop wasting a percentage of what we currently do now. There's enough to feed everyone several times over. This is what supermarkets fear the most. If you're the manager of a Sainsbury's store, your worst nightmare is someone telling you to do a shop and saying, stop this, they haven't got a right one, I'm going to go to Tesco's. Okay? So what happens is that supermarkets, again and again and again, create this cornucopia, abundance of plenty, this never-ending bottomless food supply. It's an illusion, and the way they do it is because they have huge policies, they encourage waste. You cannot have shelves. If you go to the supermarket half past 7 at night, the shelves should be half empty, but they're not, they're always full, and the stuff that's full at 10 o'clock in the post goes in the bin, you know, 7 times out of 10. Fruit and vegetables, again, most of us, we're all getting this, I'm good at this, everyone, you go and you see, if you ever do see a funny carrot, and the trouble is these days you don't, you think, I don't want that one, I want the one that's straight, I don't want that apple, I want the one that's red or shiny or round or green or whatever it is. 30 to 40% of fruit and veg produced in the UK gets wasted, gets thrown away because the supermarkets insist on very strict cosmetic standards. So before you reach the shop, those are all gone into the bin. Best before days. Best before days, I'm sorry to say, on vegetables at least, are absolutely nonsense, okay? We've all got eyes, we've all got ears, we've all got a nose, tongue, fingers, whatever. We know when fruit and vegetables are going into waste, we don't need, okay, and let's do it. But yeah, so that's before another reason why. Green beans, have you ever gone into a shop and see those green beans? They're all the same size. Why are they the same size? Because they've been put down to size. And that's the wastage. That's one farm, that's one day's production in a farm in Kenya. That's before they get together. So, I want to talk briefly about some things that we do as an organisation. We have 3 main projects. The first one is Feeding the 5,000. As the name suggests, we feed 5,000 people at one of the events around the world, in Stonehenge, New York, Tokyo, Barcelona, all sorts, with food that would otherwise be wasted. So we cook curries, we cook soups. It's a big awareness event. If you ever want to get involved, they're an amazing event, amazing to be involved in, and amazing to take part in, to turn up in. So see our website and come on to the next one. The big idea, we currently, 37% of the crop that is grown in the world, of the agriculture crop, is fed to livestock. The reason we can't feed catering waste or food waste to pigs, that legislation needs to be overturned. We're campaigning for that. Finally, the project time managers is a Gleaning Network. What do? I talked at the initiative at the start of the presentation about the level of waste happens on farms. What we do, we get volunteers out to the farms. They pick the food for free, so the farms don't have to worry about paid labour. They get the food to charities. The charities then redistribute to those people who are most in need. So the likes of Fair Show, we amount to homeless shelters, soup kitchens, schools, nurseries, in areas where income's very low, people that suffer from low nutrition and food poverty. So again, just to put the picture of happy leaders, this is definitely an area where we are always encouraging more and more people to get involved. Whether it's you want to come and volunteer and help us pick apples, cabbage, though it's a great day out, it really is fun, or you have a project that needs food for any reason, or you're someone who can help us to join the dots by providing contact, support, logistics, all those kind of things. The Gleaning Network is tackling that level of wastage that happens across UK farms and food and veg. Thank you.